Ladies and gentlemen, will you please put your hands together for the first storyteller tonight, Douglas Eckman!
I never really had much of sex education. The first lesson I had, my mom rented a video from the library that was made in the 70s. She had my dad sit down with me to watch it, and we kind of giggled at the usage of the word penis for about 10 minutes, and then he turned it to football. The other thing I learned as a child was from my horribly misinformed cousin. He told me that the appearance of the vagina was identical. It was basically a mini butt, right down to the cheeks and the hole, but in the front. So I didn't really know a whole lot. Now, when I was 11, my parents moved us to a new school district, and it was in a small town that you may have heard of in the news recently, Oregon, Ohio, or as we pronounce it, Oregon. And I didn't really know a whole lot of people there. It was a whole new school district, and my favorite class at the time was health. Basically, you know, they had a glazed-over gym teacher in charge, and he would just kind of throw on Half-Baked or some drug comedy because it was totally relevant to the unit. We learned about the head and the heart and, you know, all the gastrointestinal stuff, but one day, things were a little different. We came in, and if you ever went to public school in the 90s, you'll know these people. They were a staple, the sort of straight edge presenters, and we didn't really know what these people were here for. So when the class started, they immediately got into it. All right, how are you doing, class? My name is Todd, and today we're going to talk about sex education. That's right. Hi, I'm Mary, and Todd, we're going to let these kids know a lot about sex, not only when to do it, but who would be the right person to do it with. So the first day, they get up there, and I noticed that on the blackboard that they've kind of gotten a XY axis with a chart, and going down along this side, they've got each person in the class's name. Now, I don't know about you, but when I see my name on a list, I immediately start panicking, you know, like, okay, where am I at? How long is it going to be until it gets to me? So they get into their spiel, like, all right, kids, what do you know about sex? A kid in the back, you have it after marriage? That's right. And we want to learn a little bit about maybe how far you kids would go at the moment. So going along the top axis, they start to write kissing, hugging, then kissing, groping, and then I've never heard this next term before or since, but I think they might have meant dry humping, squishing, and then oral, anal, and sex. And also, I don't know about you, but anal doesn't really seem like a stepping stone. Like, I've never heard anyone say, like, oh, well, you know, how are you and Bob doing? Well, we've made it to anal, but we really haven't had sex yet. And this was totally, like, 100% pure straight anal, by the way. Like, this was Ohio. Like, if you thought that they were going to educate us on anything involving homosexuality, like, you know, there was no way. So they start calling up the class one by one to the front of the board. Pam, would you come up here? And, you know, they get up there. Why don't you mark on the chart just exactly how far you'd be willing to go? And, you know, I think we're all a little aware of, you know, that this is a sort of shame-based lesson. So I noticed that none of the girls are marking sex. They all say that they'll go as far as anal, but that's it. Now, The boys is another story. Each one, they strut up there. Oh, yeah, I would go all the way. They're giving each other the rock on the way up there, each one proudly marking sex. And then it gets to me. Now, I was new in the school district. I didn't know anybody, and I really wanted to kind of make a good impression. And they did not want to start that out by looking like some perv dude. So I get up there. It's my turn. And I'm like, oh, my God, which one do I pick? Now, nobody is just going to say hugging. Nobody would believe that. But I'm not going to go all the way. And, I mean, at that point, I wasn't going to pick anal. So I'm just sort of squishing. Nobody laughed. Nobody really had any kind of reaction at all. And that was that. And I went home that night kind of just, what just happened? What the heck is tomorrow going to be like? And the next day was better. So day 2, these, enthusiastic instructors come in, and they're like, all right, class, today we're going to do a little role playing. And to start with the first scenario, we'd like you, Doug, and Margaret. So I'm picked. Oh, great. And I am not good at improv as it is. So I get up there, and they're like, all right, what we want you guys to do is to enact a scenario. Doug, you're the boyfriend. You're taking Margaret out to the movies, and you want her to give you some oral in the theater. So I'm tasked with having to, convince this girl to give me a blowjob in a non-existent movie theater. They put us up in front of the class, standing like I am now. They didn't even give us chairs or any kind of props, so I couldn't even do the, yawn. So we get up there, and it's sort of like, come on, come give me some oral. I came to watch the movie. Yeah, no, I know, but it's dark. Nobody's gonna see. My parents' friends come to this movie theater. You got to give it to Margaret. She was really good at just shooting me down. And in retrospect, I've got to say that it was probably a good idea to teach women how to say no. But at the same time, with these role play exercises, they were kind of setting us males up to just act predatory, which I still don't know why they would want to do that. So basically, my job was that no matter how many times she said no, I had to think of a way to get her up there. And eventually it occurred to me oh, well, we could go up to the balcony. No one goes on the balcony, and, just go in the back. There we go, see? Now, this was the 90s, and the big stadium seating multiplexes were everywhere. So this class really wasn't used to an old-timey theater. A kid immediately in the back, what are you talking about, balcony in the theater? Yeah, guy, I think that theaters have balconies. And the class just threw a fit. None of them believed that a balcony was a thing. I'm arguing back and forth with them. We're not even doing the role play anymore. I'm like, yeah, there is too. If you watch some movies from the 30s and 40s, you'll see balconies. The people would go up there, they would smoke, they'd have their opera glasses. It's a thing. And they're like, I went to the movies last week, and we sat in the back row, and there ain't no balcony. Okay, class, the instructor interjects and basically nibs it in the bud. Now, the rest of the unit, I was thankfully not asked to reenact anything, and they basically just, taught abstinence. At the end of that, I didn't know anything about semen. I didn't know anything about eggs, women's periods. I still thought a vagina looked like a butt. And, to an extent, I can't speak to how it affected the rest of the class, but I gotta say that their shame-based tactics kind of worked on me. Because, in the last decade, I've only had sex once. And it's because I've been in so many opportunities where, I've had women say, yeah, no, come on, let's do it. And I hesitate, I freeze, because, no matter the situation, if I go in to make a move, all I can hear in the back of my head is a classroom of children screaming at me that a balcony doesn't exist. Thanks.